Alright, you're welcome to this video. In this video I'm going to show you how to cut and sew the infinity trouser jumpsuit pattern that you've seen on my thumbnail and in the footage before now. So this is a very nice easy piece that you can make and style differently. You can buy cheap chiffon, or not cheap but affordable chiffon, and then make and silk and make a lot of clothes, and you can look like you are basically wearing something new every day. Meanwhile, it's the same thing styled differently. So yeah, before we begin, if you enjoy my videos, don't forget to like the video, as that gives a good signal that you are really gaining from this, and that will keep me working. So yeah, don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you like what I do here. So the first thing we're going to do is, let me explain the measurements to you. Okay, so the first measurement is the hip measurement. You're going to take it a bit loosely on the body, so not too tight, but don't add too much excess so that it is too loose. Whatever excess we're going to add, we'll add on the pattern paper, but take your measurement to be just right. Don't make it too tight as though you're making a pencil skirt, and don't free it up too much as if you're making an A-line dress. Just perfectly on point. Then you take your trouser length. I would add 2 or 3 inches to the length that you normally use, so you want it to have a little excess on the floor. And the crotch measurement, you take the regular crotch measurement and then you add 3 inches to it. Alright, and then your thigh measurement, the same thing, take it just right. You should be able to put 2 fingers after you take the tape around the thigh. Yeah, so that's all we're going to need, and let's start drafting. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to keep ½ inch at the top. That will serve as my sewing allowance later on. And then if you notice, there's no waist measurements. There's no waist measurements because here you want it to have a lot of excess, so everything we'll do will be made using the hip. So after you roll this line, keep a space of 6 inches away from the edge, okay? And mark this all the way down to the end of your paper. Alright, as I was saying, okay, you're going to place your hip divided by 4. Okay, so the hip that we're working with is 44. 44 divided by 4 should give us 10 points. It's 42, sorry. 42 divided by 4 should give us 10.5. Alright, 42 should give us 10.5. Alright, and then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to place the crotch measurement. Now, there's a band that sits on top of all of this. That band is going to be 2 inches thick at the end of the day. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep that 2 inches above there, okay? And then we're going to now place whatever is left of the crotch. So the crotch I'm working with is 14. We've thrown 2 inches up. I'm going to make a mark at 14. And then roll a line across here. Alright, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to still place whatever I placed at the hip. I'm going to place it here as well. So the hip was 10.5, I'm going to place 10.5 here. Then I'm going to connect this dot to this dot. After that, the next thing we're going to place is our thigh measurement. So the thigh measurement was 27. 27 divided by 2 should give us 13.5, alright? And then you're going to place 13.5 here. And then you're going to make a curve from here out to here. That's that trouser curve. And then from here, I'm going to simply roll a line all the way down. I'm placing the 13.5 all the way down so that it acts as a guide when I'm rolling my line. Alright, so with that we are basically done with drafting the pattern. The only thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to need to measure out the pattern here and see how much I have, so that I know how much I add on my fabric. The reason why I like marking on paper, because I see people asking why don't I cut on the fabric when it's not necessary, like in this case, is so that you guys can see. Alright, I do it so that it will be what I'm doing will be more legible for you to be able to see clearly. If I should draft this on the paper and I draw with chalk, you might not be able to see. So because of that, I might need to increase the length on the when I'm transferring this to the fabric. So like we did before, 2 inches away at the top, and then let me confirm how many. So the length I'm working with is a length of 43 inches. Okay, I'm working with a length of 43 inches, and here I have 21.5. all right, here I have 21.5. Of course they've done their thing. All right, so sorry, so I was saying at the down part we have 41.5 on the paper, so meaning I will need to increase the length of my fabric. So 43, that's the length that I want at the end of the day, minus 41.5, we're left with 1.5, meaning I'll need an extra 1.5 inches to complete this length. And do not forget that I need to add sewing allowance to that 1.5. So what I'm adding at the bottom now, I'm adding 2 plus 2 inches of sewing allowance. So 2 inches of sewing allowance plus the 1.5 we need to complete this is going to give us a total of, at the bottom part here, we need plus 3.5, 1.5 plus 2 inches sewing allowance. So I'm adding that at the end to complete it. So the next thing I'm going to do is we're going to cut out the pattern. Please, all this excess here is okay. We're going to need to hem this edge anyway, so that's just fine. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. Alright, so you see this pattern that we have here, we're going to use this pattern and we're going to cut four pieces using this pattern. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our fabric, you'll see me do it, but we'll take our fabric, put our fabric on a fold, place this on top, cut the first time, that will give us 2, and we'll repeat that again, and at the end of the day we should end up with 4 pieces. Alright, so you can see, like I said, this is going to be quite easy. Like I said, simply just cut the same pattern 4 times. And that's what I've done here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So what we're going to do, separate them, pick 2 sides and keep aside. Let's move on to the sewing machine. Alright, so now we have these 2 sides. We are going to take them. We are going to place the front side facing the front side. Make sure to do the same thing on the other side that you have as well. Alright, so front side facing front side. We're going to sew them together, consuming half an inch. Alright, so after you join the middle, the crotch together like I have done, what you can do next is what you need to do next is you're going to go ahead and you're going to iron the side. So I want you to fold half inch, then 1 inch, and iron it from here all the way down. Do that on the left and on the right. Make sure to do the same thing on the other side of the trouser as well. Alright, after we do that, I'll be back. Alright, so now, like I said, I'm going to hem half inch. Alright, half inch, then 1. I've done that, so I'm now going to stitch from here all the way down on the left and on the right, and then after that we're going to fix the band across the waist. Alright, so after you have done, you've hemmed the sides left and right, make sure to do the same thing on the other side. Next thing I want you to do is I want you to cut a long piece of fabric. You might need to join like I have joined here. Now this piece here from the beginning to the end is 90 inches long. This is the part that we're going to use as the rope that will be tied around the waist. So the long side is 90 inches, and then on the short side from here to here is 6 inches long, so wide. So you're going to cut it at 6 inches by 90. Alright, I hope that that's clear. So after you've cut this long piece, next thing I want you to do is I want you to fold the end. So the first thing I want you to do is bend it in half, and as you can see, I'm folding it with the front side facing the front side. So you fold it like so first, and then you bend half inch to the left, 1/2 inch to the right like this, and then we're going to simply just lock here, consuming 1/2 inch. We'll do the same thing on the other side as well. Alright, so after you've done that, the next thing I want you to do is this. You come to the trouser and you can see where we have the joining, that's the middle. Alright, you're going to come to that point and you're going to take your cut. If you have your cut like I do, this cut is at the middle. If not, just fold the whole thing like so, then notch wherever the middle is. But for me, I have the middle, which is here, so I'm going to simply place the middle on the middle like so, put my finger there to hold it in place, and I'm going to sweep, come to the very edge. I'll start sewing from here. So from here I'll sew 1/2 inch across to the other side of the waist. Alright, so from this edge here all the way to across the middle to the other side. So 1/2 inch is what I'm holding. Alright, so after you have stitched across the waist, what you're going to do next is this. You're going to come back to this place here where we folded like we did. You're going to turn it to the inside like so, and then we're going to stitch from here all the way to the other side. So we're basically just stitching across, alright, on top of here to hold it down across the waist to the other side like you will see me do now. Alright, so with that we have joined. You can see that we'll finish the waist. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to head back to my ironing table, press and iron this so that everything is flat, cut all the excess rope, and then it's now for us to join both sides together at the crotch. Alright, so one of the last things we're going to need to do, you can see I've repeated the same thing on the part I'm holding now. Alright, you can see this is the band that I've joined. The last thing, one of the last things is for us to join the crotch together. Now if you've seen another method that I join my crotch, where I join the legs first before completing the down part of the crotch, you can still do that here, and that's fine. But if not, just simply join here together from the beginning all the way down. I'm going to start from the hem all the way to the other hem. So from this hem that should lead me to here, and then that from this hem that should lead me to here, then down to the other side of the hem. I'm holding 1/2 inch for my sewing allowance. Alright, so after we've done all of that, the last thing is to hem the end. Alright, so I've kept 2 inches at the end, but after I joined the front and the back together, I tried it on my wife, and she said she wants it to flow a bit more on the floor. So I'm going to use only 1 out of that 2 inch now for the hemming. So that means I'm folding half twice like I'm doing now. After I do this, I'm done with the sewing. That's how I made it. Thank you for watching. If you've watched this far, I'll see you in the next video. Do have a lovely day. Bye bye. Oh yeah, let me just run this.